In today's episode, our first episode, I'm so excited to be diving into the juice of reclaiming your power to thrive in a social system that has taught you that you needed to survive, and how those survival mechanisms that live in the body and the way that we've been imprinted from birth, from before our soul even entered this form, created those ways of not being able to feel safe within our reality, or to feel safe in our bodies within these systems that keep working to take us out of our power, out of our ancient remembrance. And weaving in the way that the internal systems, the nervous system, are in constant interaction with our external environment, and how this shapes our availability or our access to resource, where in society and culture that is patriarchal, colonialist, that has toxic capitalism as the way that it is profiting off of extraction, that has all of these different ways that we have learned and we've been conditioned from young ages, from authority figures, from our parents, from mother wounds or father wounds or money wounds, that it's not safe to own your power. It's not safe to thrive in being well supported and being well cared for. And when you allow yourself to see these systems as something that are existing inside of yourself, they lose their power, because then it's not being stuck or stagnant or helpless to the ways that those systems are operating. It creates the opportunity to be able to transform, to transmute, and to alchemize those systems of oppression into your own liberation within yourself, given that these systems of play are always happening. So it's so easy to be make yourself, let's say, a victim to circumstance or to factors that are outside of your control. And what I'm inviting you into, and what this conversation is welcoming you into, is how you get to unlock your own power to co-create with the divine, with God, Source, with Pachamama, in a way that's aligned with your soul, that's aligned with your calling, that's aligned with your vision, with your mission, and letting yourself receive support. And all of the forms of support that you are ready, or that you are opening yourself to be able to receive. Because the way that ancestral wounding works, and the way that trauma works in the body and in the nervous system, is that at some point in your journey, in your body, that support felt like it was unsafe, that it was going to cause harm, or that it would put you in a space of survival or fear in not being okay, like in not being okay, where the nervous system feels like you are dying. Like, it is so uncomfortable. It is so challenging to process the heaviness or the hardness or the intensity or the overwhelm of feeling helpless, or feeling like you don't have control over your own beingness. And in reclaiming your wildness and reclaiming your wealth and reclaiming your liberation, it's getting to create the space between the old ways of being and the new ways of being. The old ways of responding to life in your body, and the new ways of how you get to choose to show up for yourself through meeting the discomfort or the fear or the charge, and dissipating or neutralizing or dissolving the old patterning. because the old patterning is where the cycles continue to repeat. Those cycles of oppression, those cycles of self-harm or harm to others, and how those in the past would stunt your growth or your expansion now get to be openings. So the triggers or the activations where it could be easy to lose yourself. You are creating new neurological pathways and new somatic ways of relating where you choose yourself. Because in these systems that are working so hard to have you not choose yourself, in abandoning yourself, in neglecting yourself, in rejecting yourself, what a reclamation it is to choose yourself, to accept yourself, to unconditionally love the parts of yourself that didn't know how to be loved or accepted or treated well or cared for or nourished. And when you step into that way of relating to yourself and relating to all of life, you build a deeper sense of trust. You build a deeper sense of trust with yourself, with your body's ability to thrive in the unknown, to thrive in what felt like it was so terrifying, it might have been crippling before. And what this looks like in your relationships is allowing yourself to be fully worshiped and to let your wildness and your untamed and your fully expressed, unapologetic expression of who you are shine through, and not allowing yourself to be in relation with anything less. And that comes with a lot of vulnerability. It comes with a lot of intimacy in knowing that the old is what you're no longer available for. That's how you unlock your newfound power. And you see this in your relationship to all that is. So you can also think of this in terms of money. And in a toxic capitalist society that has money tied to worth and tied to success, but also deeply rooted in survival and in security, there's all of these different encodings that are entrapped within the idea or the concept that you are lesser than, or that you are not enough, or that you are not worthy of being, of life, of experiencing yourself if you don't have XYZ, whatever constructs there are around money. And because it's such a basic need within our society to be able to sustain ourselves, I see this so often with my clients and with my community. The way that anxiety or the way that stress can warp the sense of self when it's attached to how much money you do or don't have. And the conversation around awakened wealth is also the conversation around wealth being so beyond money. Wealth is in having a nourishing community. Wealth is in having a life where you get to be connected to nature. Wealth is in loving and appreciating your body for all that it does for you and all that it gives for you. Wealth is being connected to spirit, to the divine, to pleasure. Wealth is having the freedom, reclaiming the freedom to choose how you invest your time, your attention, your energy. Wealth is in how you are using the knowledge that you already have of yourself and of the world to shape the life that you want to live, what turns you on, what excites you, what fulfills you. Wealth is being able to creatively express yourself and to let yourself be an open channel where your own inner guidance is what is leading you forward, what is opening doors and opportunities and miracles and blessings that are far beyond money, and money is a part of it. And money is also loaded with the ways that we as a society have been conditioned to relate to money with either shame or guilt or greed or all of these different ways, right? There's so many ways that we've been taught to think about money. And there's no right or wrong here. And I am never going to say that what I say is ultimate truth. And there's truth in all of it. And there's a truth that resonates most with you and how you are choosing to relate to life and to money or to love or to your leadership or to your work in a way that's fulfilling. Ultimately, a wealthy life is a life that is fulfilling, where you are having meaning in your experience, where you are sharing what you have to offer with the world, and where you are being received by yourself. There's no way, at least this is how I see it, there's no way to receive what you desire from life if you aren't allowing yourself to be received by yourself. And that's where I see those walls show up, those protective mechanisms that block us off from even going deeper into ourselves. And as leaders, we know that the deeper into ourselves we go, the deeper that others are able to go with us. And we can only meet others as far as they have met themselves. And so when we're having these kinds of conversations around dismantling systemic oppression, AKA being in right relationship to self, to others, to earth, to community, to service, to being aligned and in integrity, that also comes with looking at the shadows, bringing light into the shadows, and choosing to override the dominant culture's way of bypassing the things that are uncomfortable, the things that hold tension, the things that most people are taught to avoid, especially in white bodies, especially in white cis bodies, especially in white cis male bodies, and to liberate yourself so that you can truly be showing up for yourself and for your life and for your liberation in a way that is not overlooking the parts of yourself that are wanting to be healed, and the wounding from the ancestral past that is being perpetuated unconsciously until you meet yourself in these new ways. And that's what conscious leadership is about. And that's what unlocking your true power is about. I see this so often with my clients who are of all races and all backgrounds, and it shows up differently based off of your life experience, where those same survival instincts will show up in your work, in your life, in your relationship, when you're meeting a new edge of discomfort and how you're choosing to respond to that. Because the nervous system will think that you are dying, and your intelligence or your conscious mind will know that you're not dying, but that's what the body is going through. It's going through this experience of like, holy hell, I am not okay right now. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And so it sends all of those signals out, the I'm not okay signals. And this is where we see the fawning or the people pleasing. We see the running away or the escaping or the avoiding of the discomfort or the tension, or we see the suppressing of the emotions or we see the collapsing. And I see this so much, especially with like the overdoing and the overexerting and the overgiving that comes from those toxic patriarchal structures of like hyper masculinity, or that like wounded feminine. And all of those are different forms of your body feeling it needs to act in those ways in order to survive. And what you get to shift into, what you get to alchemize, and what I'm inviting you to create more space in your body to be with is the both and. I am, for example, triggered or activated or feel a somatic response to XYZ, and I can be with this. I can breathe through this. Because now I have that somatic availability, or I have this resourcing that I can tap into. The resourcing of the intuitive ancient wisdom that lives in the body that's there to replenish you. And that is where the medicine is, because the medicine comes in you being with the nuances of the both and. And that's where you reclaim your power to thrive. That's where the subtle shifts that are built over time, these things don't happen overnight, the subtle shifts of how you chose to respond before from those triggered spaces, and how you're choosing to respond in this reclamation of yourself of what do I desire to co-create here, and can I call upon all of the highest forces that are working for my highest good to support me in this. Breathe that life force pranic energy into my beingness. Let myself be okay, even resting in the unknown. Can I let myself be okay, just letting the support come in however it wants to come in, letting the wisdom come in without needing to know the how, without needing to know the when, without needing to try and grip on or control or project into the future, but being in that now, knowing that that is where most of my power lies. And in that space, in that sacred space that you cultivate with yourself, is where you get real intimate with your body. You get real intimate with your patterns. You get real intimate with how you have been held back by those internalized social systems or ancestral programming that was rooted in survival, where you are choosing to now thrive. And where you are letting pleasure also be the medicine of it. Letting pleasure be an aspect of your divinity. Letting pleasure be a way for you to stay in your body. Because in those ways that systemic oppression or the ways that you have been indoctrinated to think that you needed to leave your body or dissociate, which there's nothing wrong about. Like, we all do it. It's a part of the human condition, and we're all about accepting all of your humanity here. We all are reflections of ourselves, right? But when you then let yourself, give yourself permission to exist in even the unsettling, like it's an unsettling energy, but weave in the sensational experience of staying present with yourself. You're choosing to be in your body. And when you're choosing to stay in your body, so if you notice yourself leaving your body, if you notice yourself going into all of those ways of escaping or running away or people pleasing or avoiding or XYZ, that are taking you outside of yourself, when you come back into your body and you feel what wants to be felt so you can process what is showing up, you free up that space in your body and you free up that space in your being for what wants to actually be moved within you. This is where the huge emotional releases come through. This is where the purging comes through. This is where the ego deaths come through, where what you had been attached to of who you thought you were, it's not resonant anymore. It's not aligned anymore. And it's not easy, but it gets to be more easeful. And it gets to feel like you are now in your sovereignty. Your choices aren't being made by your past. Your choices aren't being made by your conditioning. Your choices aren't being made by the subconscious mind and all of what you picked up on in your upbringing that had you believing or perceiving yourself in those ways that weren't actually true. What happens is you then rise into the being, into the leader, where your conscious choosing of your co-creation of reality is more important to you than all of the ways that held you back from claiming that before. And when you unlock that power within yourself, you let it be okay to thrive. Because before, it might have not felt safe to thrive in that new paradigm, in that new being, in sharing your voice, in being fully loved and met in partnership or in friendship or in community, in being supported by money and letting yourself feel that support with money, in letting the impact of your work ripple out on a whole new level of service, because you're actually feeling regenerative in how you're exchanging energy with all that is. And when your nervous system feels supported, it changes everything. It changes the survival instincts of the past into becoming obsolete. And it still shows up, right? Like, we all have our triggers. This is an ongoing journey. We don't leave life free from suffering, but we get to choose out of it when we become aware of it. And we get to choose how we are navigating the deeper nuanced layers of what it means to be human in a oppressive system that is unjust, where people are being wrongfully harmed, where there is immense inequity, where people are starving and where people are being shot in schools, where people are being hung. And these are the real things. These are the real aspects of the world that we live in. And we can either choose to live in fear in that, or we can choose to be in the highest power that we possibly can be, so that we can create more people and more systems and more spaces where liberation is more accessible, where wildness is more accessible, and where wealth is being distributed and recirculated regeneratively, and it's being of service to the awakening and the unfolding of our unconditional, boundless love. That's what I'm inviting you into. Unlocking your power to thrive means you get to meet all of the parts of yourself that might have been scared or hurt or wounded from your lived experiences or from your karma, and say they get to be here too. This is where the reparenting work comes in. This is where the learning comes in, with treating yourself how you want to be treated, treating your body and your work with the kind of respect and honor and reverence and depth of love that you have to give to the world. Because so much of what systemic oppression has taught us is that it's not safe to love and it's not safe to be loved. And being a leader who is rising in your purpose is unlocking more of your power to love and be loved, and letting yourself be supported in that, and calibrating your nervous system to feel safe in that. The nervous system goes through the contractions and the expansions of navigating how to feel safe in this world. And the way that the contractions open and create space for more expansion in being more supported is by pouring that support, pouring that love, pouring that nourishment, pouring that safety into all of the cracks inside, or all of the parts or the aspects of your body and of your beingness of like, it's okay to be here. If in your lineage or in your ancestry, it was not okay to be here because it meant that you had to leave your body, it meant that they could not exist in their body and feel safe, it takes that much more internal work. And if you're someone who holds privilege in different aspects of your life, it is your responsibility to do the work within yourself to feel safe, to be able to serve your communities with that higher level of awareness of how your body is impacting other bodies, and to be embodied in your power, creating more space for other people to be in their power when there is silencing of voices that is historical, and how that lives in the body as well. So I'm so excited to continue diving deeper into these conversations with you. Thank you for listening to our first episode, and I'm looking forward to going even more intimately with you for the rest of this season.